In this video, I'm going to break down 10 ways that you can improve your self-worth. And if you haven't already, I strongly advise you watch my other video on how a low level of self-worth can negatively impact your relationships, whether that be with your friends, your family, or your partner. When you have a high level of self-worth, you're more confident and comfortable in your own skin. And as a result of that, you tend to attract like-minded people who are on the same wavelength. And therefore, you have much healthier relationships. Self-worth needs to come from within, because in there, it's secure, it's safe, it's protected. No one else but you has access to it. Obviously, things can happen throughout your life that might dent your self-worth, but I'll talk about things in this video that you can do to rebuild it. Say, for example, you've been through a breakup, or you've been through a traumatic event. Sometimes that can make you doubt yourself and question whether you were enough. But I'm here to tell you, you are enough, just in case you're doubting that. But these things that you can do, practical things you can do, will help build that back up. Because if you externalize your self-worth, it becomes fragile and it can be taken from you. Let's say, for example, you attach your value and your worth to material items, the car that you drive, the house that you live in, the clothes that you wear. Those things can all be taken or lost. If you lose your job, you can no longer afford to live in that big house and drive that fancy car. And then guess what? You lose your self-worth when you lose those things. And that makes it extremely volatile. And with that, the relationships that you've accrued as a result of that lifestyle can also be lost, because people who are into that materialistic way of living are attracted to other people who are on that same wavelength, as I mentioned before. And therefore, will they want to be associated with you now that you can't afford to keep up that lifestyle with them? Probably not. It's very superficial, and it means that it's going to have quite a disastrous impact on your life, because you're losing all those things. You're losing your job, you're losing your car, you're losing your house, you're losing your self-worth, and you're losing those relationships. So you can see the knock-on effect it can have if you externalize that self-worth. In this video, I'm going to break down 10 ways that you can improve your self-worth. And if you haven't already, I strongly advise you watch my other video on how a low level of self-worth can negatively impact your relationships, whether that be with your friends, your family, or your partner. When you have a high level of self-worth, you're more confident and comfortable in your own skin. And as a result of that, you tend to attract like-minded people who are on the same wavelength. And therefore, you have much healthier relationships. Self-worth needs to come. We all have weaknesses. Everybody is different. Everyone has a different combination of strengths and weaknesses, but your weaknesses are another facet to your personality and they make you unique. And your uniqueness is part of your authenticity. And that's your superpower, because there's no one else on this planet who is like you. The great thing about weaknesses, they highlight areas that you can work on. And those are all areas of growth. So you can see how we can turn a supposed negative into something positive. This leads us quite nicely onto number 2, which is honesty. Start being honest with yourself. If you start telling yourself the truth, you're more likely to tell the truth to other people. And this brings you in alignment with who you say you are. So your actions are matching your words, and your words are matching the thought processes that are in your head. Because deep down within us all, we know the truth. We know the truth about ourselves. We know the truth about our actions and our behaviors. But sometimes we try and hide from them because the truth hurts. But by being brutally honest with yourself from the outset, just as we said in number 1, where you're identifying those weaknesses that some people might be afraid to talk about, just encourages honesty for all your relationships outside of you as well. Number 3 on the list is to be more disciplined. Now, they say that discipline is the strongest form of self-love, and I've got to agree with that. You only have to look at the word. Discipline comes from the Latin word for disciple. So you want to be your own disciple, someone that you yourself would look up to, admire, and respect. And we can get there by holding ourselves accountable to small, daily, achievable tasks that reward you both mentally and physically. And I'm going to do a separate video on the sort of tasks that I'm on about here, because I think it warrants it. Number 4 on the list is to challenge yourself. So this follows on quite nicely from the discipline aspect. Only a challenge is something that's a little bit more difficult and takes you out of your comfort zone. But it's also about setting realistic goals. If you set yourself an unattainable target and you don't make it, then that might dent your self-worth a little bit, because you're never realistically going to get there. Whereas if you set yourself a target of, say, couch to 5K, that was so effective for people because most people could achieve it, even if they just walked around the course. And it gives you that evidence that you are capable. And that's really mentally rewarding. But you've got to be careful here that you don't attach your self-worth to those achievements. Instead, you use the achievements to boost your self-worth. And you can look back on these challenges and say, wow, that was really tough, but I made it through it. And it doesn't have to be a challenge that you set yourself. Sometimes you can look back at challenging times in your life and say, God, that was really difficult. But you know what? I made it through. I learned some valuable lessons and I'm still here to tell the tale. Number 5 on the list is to maintain boundaries with yourself before you start imposing them on others. How can you expect other people to respect your boundaries if you yourself don't? So it's simple things like learning to say no and learning to disagree without conflict. If you don't want to do something, then don't do it. This helps you realize that you're following your own path. You're not skipping to somebody else's beat. And that builds that level of security within you and helps boost that self-worth because no one else has control over it. It's down to you. Number 6 is something we kind of touched on a bit earlier, and that is to minimize spending time with the wrong people. That is people who drain you or people you don't feel like you can truly be yourself with. Number 7 is to identify the values by which you want to live, and then you can try and align your behaviors with those values. This corresponds with the next thing on the list, which is to live with integrity. So this means you want to behave in a way that you're proud of, and therefore you hold yourself accountable for your actions, and this boosts the level of respect you have for yourself and therefore boosts your self-worth. Number 9 on the list is to be kind and compassionate with yourself. You see, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes, but you can't beat yourself up over it because you made decisions based on how you felt at that time, which means don't live with regret or guilt because those were things that happened in the past and that was a different you in a different time. It's not who you are now. And if you carry those forward, they're just going to drag you down into the future, whereas all we have is the present moment. And one of the best things that I heard was to focus on your feelings because these really are the fuel for self. Last, but by no means least, is number 10 on the list, and that is to embrace solitude. I personally think this is probably the most powerful thing that we can do as human beings because it allows you to get in touch with that inner voice because you're away from the noise, away from the distractions, and in that silence we find answers. You see, we evolved to have this intuition, that gut feeling, and that's what we used to trust. We didn't use an app. We didn't ask everybody that we knew what they thought. We just went by what felt right. And 99% of the time, that gut feeling is the feeling that you need to be following. You become more trusting of it, and therefore you become more decisive and better able to back yourself. And obviously, this is going to boost your self-worth because you think you don't need anybody else. You've got yourself, you've got your intuition, you've got all the answers. And if you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis, you can get me at dan@yourwilderness.therapy.com and we can really focus in on your specific issues and your specific situation. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video and I really hope some of it's been beneficial to you. Please click that like and subscribe button and that'll encourage me to make more videos like this, and it'll also alert you of further videos I make on this topic or any other topic that might be relevant to the issues that you're facing. And obviously, if there's anything you think I've missed, please leave a comment in the section below and I'll explore that one in another video. And remember, I've got you and you have got this. Thanks for watching.